not a jack. Whoa! Oh! Oh! Oh, my whole... not a Jax. Whoa! Oh, my whole... I'm not a Jax. Whoa!
Aunty Rhea. Aunty Rhea. Aunty Rhea. Aunty Rhea. Aunty Rhea. Aunty Rhea.
The Nina, the Pinta, the Santa Maria. I'll do you in the bottom while you're drinking sangria.
Nachos, lemon heads, my dad's boat. You won't go down cause my dick can float.
We sail around the world and go port to port. Every time I come, I produce a quart.
Aunty Rhea. Aunty Rhea. Aunty Rhea.
Deadly as catch without the crabs. We're almost out of gas, called the Arabs.
Pull up the anchor cause we're leaving dry land. Get below deck with a tick in your hand.
Aunty Rhea. Aunty Rhea. Aunty Rhea.
Are you ready for some world-class vocalization? Yo,
Aunty Rhea.
break 'em off a little something, something.
You go, this doesn't affect me because you're literally like a very sad individual that's posting this.
Yeah.
But then like you catch yourself thinking about it later and you're like,
Oh,
why,
yeah.
why am I thinking about this? Why am I giving them my time and energy right now?
Are you ready for some world-class vocalization? Yo,
Aunty Rhea.
break 'em off a little something, something.
You go, this doesn't affect me because you're literally like a very sad individual that's posting this.
Yeah.
But then like you catch yourself thinking about it later and you're like,
Oh,
why,
yeah.
why am I thinking about this? Why am I giving them my time and energy right now?
There is little sign of any material threat. Assessing. Communications open. One step closer to the machine. Labor's underway.
Following the successful execution
Then the deployment of the...
our data
If it be the Omniscient... By the machine god!
Radiation and perspiration.
Modus Venator.
Magos, our Lex Mechanics Hub. The Cryptek engages in... It cost many fine mine.
Contested kill zone. Combat stalled. The target is likewise unmoving. A cornered foe. The chance.
Find the source of these radiation signatures and follow any trail to Jeff.
They say teen love is the most passionate experience a person can have. Not that I would know, but what I do know is the risk. I don't know about you guys, but to me, there was something magical about the year 2016. Something we may never experience again. If you were too young to remember, I genuinely feel bad for you. Because for a brief, shining moment, there was this overwhelming sense of freedom in the culture. It flowed through the memes, the music, and the way people talked online. But by the end of summer, you could feel the shift. The election was coming.
Processing
And the
orders.
corporations, the social media giants, they saw the chaos, the fun, the honesty, and they decided to shut it all down. 2016 wasn't just the last good year, it was the last great year. In this video, I'll break down what made 2016 so special. Not just to me personally, but in a broader cultural sense too. I'll explain why the so-called golden years before it were really just a build-up to a peak, and why everything after was just a slow, depressing decline. Before I dive into what made 2016 so magical, I need to set the stage. Because as much as people romanticize the early 10s now, those years weren't the true golden age. They were just a build-up. A slow climb towards something that would briefly peak and then crash and fall. From 2012 to 2015, there was this strange cultural energy forming. You could feel it in the content we consumed. YouTube was still wild and unfiltered, back when angry video game nerd,
Transmitting.
Doug Walker, the movie reviewer, still had that special touch and magic that made them
Coordinating data.
Vice documentaries actually felt raw and interesting, rather than steeped in left-wing bias and white guilt. It almost felt like popular culture was imitating me, rather than the other way around. Folk music was moving reggae, ska, indie, all of it had soul. Everything I loved was popular, down to the fashion of the day. Stoner culture was peaking right before the weed legalization dulled the edge post-2014. And if you were online, you might remember Slenderman, creepypastas, McJuggernuggets and his Psycho Kid series, the Minecraft trolling era, MLG montages. YouTube poops, all that unhinged, chaotic creativity that made me laugh harder than anything since. It's almost like humor died after 2016, because I kind of just stopped laughing. This was also the time I finally got decent internet, around 2010. But I didn't go all in on my primary source of entertainment until around 2012. That's when everything changed for me. It wasn't just content, it was a worldview. The internet brought a renaissance to my life, but it also brought the dark enlightenment that I share with you in videos to this very day. 2012 brought with it discoveries about society, chemicals, the elites, and how my growth was stunted. Discoveries that veiled my life in a dark shadow of depression that never quite went away. The year was also defined by the anticipation of Armageddon at the end of the Mayan calendar. The History Channel was filled with shows about ancient aliens, the end of the world, life after humans.
Networking.
And I reveled in it as a 15-year-old, addicted to the fear. The polar shift may not have happened, but something definitely did. Life was never the same after that year. And I'm wondering if you felt it too. From 2012 to late 2015, I was in my personal dark age. Most of my time was spent gym maxing, lifting, eating, tripping, or getting high or drunk. I was obsessed with growing taller, stressing myself out over eating the perfect organic diet and avoiding chemicals. In the end, it didn't work, but I tortured myself over it anyway. I was in denial over the fact that my growth plates fused at age 12 and was already too late. Still, there were magical moments from that time. A certain magical fungus and perforated sheets of paper gave me a kind of hope. This belief that I was special and that the universe put me here for a reason to help guide humanity out of the age of scarcity into the age of abundance, with a plan to help preserve the future of human civilization through industrial hemp and the power it has to replace petroleum-based products and unsustainable fuel and building materials. This was the foundation of my passion for business and entrepreneurship. My youthful energy, the green tobacco, the depression, it all collided to create this short-lived, golden era of creativity in my life. I was writing real, original music. I was singing well. I was drawing objectively beautiful artwork that actually expressed my angst, sorrow, and longing. That pain gave me drive. And I had fun with my friends. Real fun. Unforgettable, life-changing experiences. Moments that formed the man I am today. All packed into a short 3-year period. I even had fun by myself. And don't mind my reindeer red nose. I don't usually look like this. I don't know what's wrong with me. I started college back in 2014. Moved into my dad's trap house with a friend. Back then, I spent pretty much all my time either gym maxing, partying, or chasing grades. And I regret that. Because back then, that was the era where you could grow a YouTube channel fast. No algorithmic throttling, no fear of getting shadow banned for an unpopular opinion. The recommendation system was actually useful. You'd watch a video and it would suggest something similar. Not just what it thought would keep you addicted. That meant new creators could rise. You could actually be discovered. One of my biggest regrets is not taking advantage of the abundance of free time and the opportunity I had to make a life for myself out of this gold rush. I used to have a blast
Skitarii command Doctrina
playing
effective.
Morrowind while drunk and pretending to do Let's Plays. I was genuinely funny and had the energy of youth with a brain that was still witty and sharp and not yet dulled by a decade of depression and disappointment. If I would have quit with gym maxing and actually made and uploaded my drunken Morrowind Let's Plays, I would probably have my own house by now and the money to actually change the world through hemp and achieve my dreams. But of course, I was fooled into thinking bodybuilding and college were more important. What a massive miscalculation. Social media was freer too. Facebook wasn't the brain-dead zombie scroll it is now. It helped you find like-minded people and stay in touch with friends. Instagram showed you posts from people you actually follow, not algorithmic guesses at what might hold your attention. Twitter was a mess, sure, but it wasn't yet the dystopia of modern censorship and bot reporting it became after 2016. The early to mid-2010s were the last era of true internet freedom. A time when indie creators could thrive, when free speech was still held sacred online, when Reddit was libertarian, not totalitarian, and when platforms had human moderators instead of bots and trust and safety teams trained to sanitize threats. And 2016 was the crescendo, the last high note, the final moment, before it all went to shit. But for me, the night was truly darkest just before the dawn. My dark age reached its lowest with this, year of 2015. By that time, I was going to mess. I was literally falling apart, both mentally and physically. My insecurity surrounding my height and inferiority complex reached such a peak that I decided to pull the trigger on a permanent solution. Years of being constantly crossfaded, turning to the bottle to block out my dark thoughts, had led me down the path to ruin. My brain was pickled. Envy and self-hatred destroyed my ability to focus in class, and my grades plummeted. I destroyed my reputation, saying horrible things to people I knew in real life on Facebook while I was drunk, just lashing out at everyone from my past and taking my anger out on them. I made a lot of enemies, and I lost touch with reality. By fall of 2015, I couldn't even reach it enough to see that a guy I thought was my friend actually hated me and was just too much of a to tell me not to come over. If you want the full story on that, you can watch my video about why I don't miss having friends, which I'll link in the description. But yeah, by November of 2015, I had basically lost all my friends. Some moved away, others ghosted me. One went to jail and came back a different person. So 2016 started with a void. But what came next is unforgettable. For me, Personally, 2016 was the year that everything clicked. The world still felt alive, expressive, and full of possibilities. And I had more hope than I've ever had since. The end of 2015 was a turning point. If you've seen the videos of my origin story playlist linked in the description, you already know the details. But long story short, I was on the edge, finger on the trigger, safety off. And then something snapped. Instead of wanting to escape my life, I surrendered to it. Everything that once caused me anguish now was a source of euphoric bliss. The nightmares of being hype-mobbed became erotic dreams. The tall women I was so repulsed by became the object of my desire. And from that moment on, I embraced being small. I had never felt so liberated in my life. Not even in my childhood had I ever felt so carefree. And this personal revolution set the stage for 2016 being my own personal roaring 20s. And the timing of the culture and economy all just came together to create the most beautiful year of my life. I quit gym maxing. I quit height maxing. Quit obsessing over purity and chemicals and diet perfection. For the first time in years, I was eating fast food, guilt-free, and drinking beer without spiraling. I lost a ton of weight, including most of my muscle mass, constricting my calorie intake to 1,200 a day. But it was all under this strange fantasy that some tall mistress was controlling my food supply. I actually liked it. I felt small. I felt helpless. I had surrendered to power, and it felt so good. The spring of 2016 started with a blessing in disguise. My old Dell computer finally died, along with my entire gooning library and every file I ever saved. So I went and ordered a brand new cyber-power gaming PC that arrived in May, top of the line, along with a nice new L-shaped desk. And that was the beginning of what would be the best summer of my life. That summer, I experienced the magic of what became my all-time favorite game, Fallout New Vegas, for the first time ever. Hooking up my PC to my new flat-screen TV, doing my first ever playthrough as a manlet character, shrunk with console commands and handicapped with the small frame trait. The same kind of build I've tried to replicate in every single Bethesda RPG I've played since then, including the Fallout London footage you're seeing right now. I made my character an extension of me, an alcoholic who loved beer, running around with a sawn-off shotgun, not taking sides with any faction. I would listen to my playlist of Wild West country music, which expanded upon the in-game library of songs. And that became the theme music of my life for the rest of 2016. I have never been so immersed in a video game in my life before or since, playing this character, drunken Mad Max cowboy manlet hick that compensated for weakness with chems. I felt tuned in to my ancestors, since I've got family heritage with history along the wild frontier of the Southwest. In all honesty, that was the most fun I'd ever had in my life, other than a couple big parties I went to in 2019 before life changed forever. The only downside was that it was one of the hottest summer and fall of the 21st century so far, only being beaten out by 2015. And we didn't get air conditioning in our house until 2017. So I had to cool myself continuously with fans and wet paper towels. And since it was before I discovered dry shampoo, and I was too entranced by Fallout New Vegas to take more than one shower a week, my hair was majorly greased down. It thinned out a little bit, and my scalp itched like crazy. I broke out with ringworm or some kind of fungus on my scalp, but I didn't really give a shit. And even when I started showering more often, it didn't go away until I cut down on the beer. I was completely alone that summer, too. All my friends were gone.
Skitari command doctrina effective.
I didn't feel lonely. I felt peaceful, like I was exactly where I needed to be. And I knew, even back then, good times wouldn't last. I remember watching my grandpa drive his tractor across the property and feeling this pit in my stomach. Like it might be the last summer he'd ever be healthy. And I didn't want to think about it. So I buried that dread in beer and gaming and deli sandwiches and tall girl fantasies. And it worked. For a while. It was also the year I was the skinniest I'd ever been. The first year I had finally stopped gym maxing and focused on school. and somehow became an A student after nearly flunking microeconomics just 1 semester earlier. I was 20 years old, and my libido was at its peak. I had these high hopes that I'd find some statuesque woman out there who wanted to dominate a short guy. That's what fueled me. That and gooning to my freshly rebuilt spank bank. I remember earlier that summer I met this 6'1" trans woman through Facebook. Had a lot of fun with her, even though I technically got SA'd by her roommate. But
Situation
quite honest,
hostile.
I didn't really give a
Calibrating
rat's shit. It barely fazed me. In 2016, the culture hadn't fully turned yet. You could still say something online without being banned for it. You could still grow a channel without the algorithm smothering you. But I missed my chance. I thought it would last forever. That's why 2016 felt so good. Not just because of what it was, but because of what we didn't even realize we were about to lose. But it wasn't just me. 2016 was the last great year for most people. Culturally, online, economically, that perfect sweet spot before everything turned to sludge. Let me know in the comments if you disagree, but try to hear me out first. When it came to gaming, the decline had already begun, sure. Fallout 4 was a clear downgrade from New Vegas. I didn't even bother buying it, but it still wasn't that bad. I wasn't cynical yet. The industry was still riding high, and there were still so many incredible games out there. Microtransactions hadn't yet taken over yet, and games weren't commonly built around monetization tactics, creating a problem to sell you a solution to, like many are today. Honestly, the only other year that ever came close was 2007. Peak era for MMOs and gaming in general. People played for the adventure, not the efficiency. The journey, not the endgame. Back then, old-school RuneScape didn't feel like a job. Bots weren't as prevalent. Games were creative, weird, full of heart. Nothing was overly optimized to death like it is now. I might make a video about 2007 if this one does well, maybe in 2027. Even the online multiplayer experience was different from today.
Shut up, your fucking voice box at your phone, son. Call Birmingham and I'll fuck you up. Call Birmingham now and I'll fuck you up.
You could say literally whatever you wanted in lobbies without fear of getting banned or losing access to a game you paid for just because someone got butthurt over a few words.
So yeah, you're gay.
It was chaotic, but it was real. That's what I miss most, the rawness of it all. The internet still felt free, unpolished, unfiltered, not yet overtaken by corporate sterilization or algorithmic control. You didn't need to censor your personality to survive. You didn't have to tiptoe around your opinions just to stay online. You didn't have the account painstakingly built, constantly held for ransom over your head like you do today, living in fear that all your hard work might be taken away, either by misunderstanding the increasingly complex terms of service, being reported by malicious actors, or even an AI moderation glitch. 2016 was the last year before mass censorship and deplatforming became the norm. Before every platform had a panic button for offensive content. Back then, we had H3H3, iDubbbz, Filthy Frank, Max Mofo, and anything for views, eating cigarette hair cakes, smashing tables, getting plastered, and vomiting into each other's mouths for views. And it was unpredictable comedy gold, unique to that final free year.
So my name's Ethan Klein, and I'm the CEO of Vape Nation. You know, it's healthcare. Cure cancer, cure diabetes. I do it for the health effects, honestly. I just feel like it's good for me.
I'm gay.
In 2016, YouTube was a true meritocracy. The best videos would organically rise to the top, no matter how controversial they were. There was a time when YouTube was still abundant with genuine wonder and mystery, before everything had a wiki, and you still couldn't say for sure whether Waffle Pone or McJuggernuggets in the Psycho Kids series were real or staged. People wanted to believe the magic was real. That line between fiction and reality
Transmitting.
still hadn't been fully mapped out yet. Back then, Tumblr actually had value to me as a website. Visually, not intellectually. Before they banned NSFW and removed some of the best pages on the web. Historical tragedy. TikTok wasn't a thing in the Western world until 2017, and Vine was barely a thing, at least in my world. And Musical.ly was a cringe fest that nobody I knew watched. Back then, you still had the time and the opportunity to become a content creator on a new or not yet saturated platform. That window hadn't yet closed. The infrastructure of the internet still made sense. You could still own your media. Life didn't require that you sign up for 7 different monthly prescriptions just to access necessary tools or services. Most of the features that require a subscription now were free.
Command Doctrina
effective. The bill hadn't yet come due for these Silicon Valley tech firms. They were still in the user acquisition phase and were competing to attract our usership. In 2016, search engines actually worked. Live service and mobile games weren't dominating everything just yet, and multiplayer lobbies weren't full of hackers and bots. Even the economy felt more stable. By 2016, we'd fully recovered from the Great Recession. Inflation wasn't that bad. Food was affordable. Rent was doable. Fewer people's lives were completely owned by debt. It felt like a worthwhile future was still possible. Even nature was still on our side. 2016 was the last year before wildfire season became a recurring nightmare. It was hot, yeah, one of the hottest summers on record, but it wasn't deadly yet. We had no idea what was coming. Looking back, 2016 wasn't just a cultural high point. It was the end of something. The final echo of a freer world before it all calcified into this homogenous, paranoid, sanitized dystopia we live in now. But the fall of 2016, that's when everything started to change. That was the moment the corporations finally took notice of internet culture, and it was over. They saw how powerful online creators had become, how much reach and influence these independent voices had, and they felt threatened. So they clamped down. Keyword suppression, random bannings, terms of service quietly rewritten behind our backs. The soul of the internet was slowly being strangled. Now, this might be an unpopular opinion, but the YouTube drama scene back then, you know, Leafy is here, Keemstar, and whatnot, I actually enjoyed it. I felt like I was riding the cutting edge of modern culture. A world that was wild, chaotic, and sometimes toxic, but it was always entertaining. Then came the adpocalypse. PewDiePie said the gamer word.
What a fucking... Jeez, oh my god, what the fuck?
School shootings kept stacking up, and the mainstream media saw their opportunity. The Wall Street Journal ran hit pieces that painted everyone on YouTube as some kind of white supremacist. And that was the beginning of the end. I still remember the old iDubbbz saying, when it comes to speech, either all of it's okay or none of it.
Say...
And now, he chose enough. And that shift hit me hard. Because I truly believe that free speech means everything can coexist, even the offensive stuff. That's how you keep liberty alive. Instead, they sanitized it. We got this new wave of brand-safe creators. Sterile, squeaky clean, algorithm approved. And just like that, the Wild West was dead. And look, I get it. Advertisers don't want their name slapped on a video about genocide or slurs. Fine, make less money on those videos. But don't bury them. Let the people decide what goes viral. Not some corporate AI model playing censorship police. When the adpocalypse hit at the end of 2016, it felt like all the air got sucked out of the room. By 2017, the internet stopped being this spontaneous, unpredictable frontier, and instead started feeling like a civilized colony with a strip mall. From 2017 onward, it felt like the spirit started to collapse. And not just in the world, but in me too. Gaming started to rot from the inside out. Fallout 76 was just the tip of the iceberg. Everything became live service, microtransactions, digital rights management that punished you for having bad internet, voice chat logging stripped away to curb hate speech. And instead of immersive worlds, characters, and storytelling, we got DEI politics shoved into every corner of our one escaping life. Like someone was trying to take revenge on male spaces for Trump's election.
I just move shit with my freaking mind! Yeah, okay, that is something I do now. I do magic, pop sentient cuffs, kill jacked up beasts. You know what? I'll probably find us.
Meanwhile, YouTube shifted from creative chaos to cold optimization. Demonetization became the new censorship. Clickbait ruled the algorithm. You either min-maxed your content to fit a strict meta, or you got buried. It wasn't about soul anymore. It was about conformity. And TikTok? I hated that app with a passion. I used to see early adopters as clout-chasing traders or literal PDF files. I thought I had morals. Turns out I was just coping. I should have gotten into TikTok earlier because I missed the gold rush on that one, just like with Bitcoin. Around 2018, Tumblr got wiped clean of NSFW.
And decide who is to carry
and
it.
yeah, that actually hit me. All my favorite gooning spots, gone overnight. And all these broken links were just a metaphor for what was coming next. In 2019, my favorite creator of all time after McJuggernuggets, iDubbbz, turned on the very audience that built him, called us inkwells, talked down to us like some out-of-touch celebrity. I was one of the first to unsubscribe. I even agreed with his stance on sex work being legitimate work. But once he started mocking guys who couldn't get girlfriends, he was dead to me. Same with H3H3 and Filthy Frank to a lesser extent. They all sold out, became rich elites scolding the peasants. Even dating apps weren't safe anymore. I got banned from Tinder for calling out a girl who was farming followers by matching with guys and then ghosting them. That's how bad it got. You couldn't even speak the truth anymore without consequences. Mainstream media fell off the deep end, going from reporting the news to full-blown Trump derangement syndrome. Colleges, platforms, politicians, they all followed. Censorship became the hip new thing. Words were now violence, and free thought was labeled as terrorism. In 2017, my confidence also started declining, as I started realizing that it's going to be a lot harder for me to find a tall woman that's attracted to me than I thought it would be. But thankfully, my libido was still strong enough to push me to ask girls out anyway. And personally, in my 2017, the hits just kept coming. My grandfather, the only stable father figure in my life, had a stroke in 2017. It took 6 months to recover, then got diagnosed with cancer. He died in March of 2018 when I was 21 years old. In August 2017, I was disowned by my dad without much reason. He said things to me that no father should ever say to his son. It broke me.
All communication with the Medicaid
for 2 years.
facility are silent.
By 2019, I was deep in the pill of darkness. Dating felt hopeless. My confidence had collapsed. My libido kept me afloat, but just barely. The world outside wasn't helping either. Wildfires became the new normal. The sky turned orange. The air smelled like the end of the world. 2017 was the year the first massive fire hit this area in my lifetime. And it was really bad, like war zone levels of terror and destruction. But the late 2010s weren't all bad. In the ruins, I found some beautiful things. Thanks to YouTube in 2018, I discovered the folk punk genre. Bands like Stick and Poke, Days and Days, Escape from the Zoo, and it changed my life. For the first time since the summer of 2016, music felt magical again. That same year, I finally figured out how to style my hair and beard. It's the same look I have now. And I also started dating, a lot. Partied with my best friend who moved back home from Reno, got into a 4-year college and started getting straight A's. I got diagnosed with ADHD in 2019, And after a long fight with the system, I finally got the medication I needed, and my brain could finally work how it should. Thanks to some rare luck and my drinking habits, I met the right man at a bar and landed a good job right out of college that fall. I also finally learned how to install mods, which kicked my love of gaming into a whole new gear. And just before the end of the decade, I found it. This mysterious Indonesian tea that will go unnamed. It cleared my brain fog, killed my alcohol cravings, and gave me the energy I didn't know I'd been missing. And in November of 2019, I met her. The tall German girl from my profile picture. This new tea helped give me the courage to approach, and my powerful libido gave me the motivation. And those 2 weekends I spent with her were the highlight of my life. Closest thing I've ever had to a romantic relationship with a tall woman. Overall, by the turn of the decade, I felt like I was doing pretty decently for myself. If 2016 was the last good year, then 2020 was the year the mask came off and was put on. Post-2020 was the era when I got banned from practically every major platform. Not for breaking laws or hurting anyone, but for speaking my mind or selling a product they didn't like. Google Ads, QuickBooks, Twitter, Reddit, even LinkedIn banned me. Though that one I managed to reverse, but still. The lockdowns in California lasted until 2022, and they didn't just trap us inside, they isolated us from each other, tore apart families. Nowadays, everyone blocks and ghosts like it's nothing. And the riots, the media gaslighting, the rising censorship, it all pushed my politics in the opposite direction of where they were in the 2010s. Then came the AI takeover. Suddenly, free speech wasn't just under threat, it was gone. I couldn't even question the safety of a jab, hastily engineered by some of the most evil corporations in history, without getting censored, flagged, or silenced. And that's when I decided to walk away from the corporate world. I knew I'd never belong there again. I don't want some employer telling me what I can and can't say or support, or what I have to put or can't put into my own goddamn body. Trying to grow an audience online these days? It used to be hard. Now, it's practically impossible. Algorithms suppress anything real. AI-generated slop floods the feed. Creators and small businesses are terminated overnight by bots, with no explanation, no appeal, and no support. And worst of all, there's no such thing as a second chance anymore. New KYC or Know Your Customer laws, IP tracking, device fingerprinting. You can't even start fresh or use a VPN. They know who you are. And once you're banned for life. Social media is the new town square, the center for public discourse, and it's fully controlled by corporations now. They pick the winners. They control the narrative. And if you speak against them, it's misinformation. What blows my mind is how many people defend it. They'll say, it's a private company, they can do what they want. No, bitch. That platform belongs to the people. Time to seize the means of production, motherfucker. And even if you do everything right in life, it still might not matter. Because this is the worst economy of our lifetimes. By the time life has any promise again, I'll be pushing 40. My dream, basically dead. But I won't pretend the last 5 years have been all bad. 2020 was the year I discovered dry shampoo, which, I'm not even joking, changed my entire hair game and improved my quality of life. Also in 2020, I started my own small business for the first time. And for once, I felt like I was building something real, something mine. And honestly, I'm happy to see the cultural and political landscape swing back a bit in the other direction over the past few years. People are waking up to the lies. But now it seems to be swinging too far. We're losing the separation between church and state. The same people who screamed about economic gaslighting during the last election are now doing the exact same thing today. It's the same bullshit, just different branding. So where does that leave us? Well, it leaves us in a world where dreams cost more than they used to, where freedom is a marketing tool, and where being real online gets you shadow banned in seconds. And I still feel like the spirit of 2016 hasn't come back. The culture got sterilized. Everything feels commercial, algorithmic, conformist, or like it's trying to fool or scam you. You can't go viral unless you're safe, marketable, or soulless. And it's mostly men who paid the price. The isolation, the silence, the feeling that being real gets you punished while fakeness is rewarded. But I believe there's one simple fix that could change everything. There's a law that holds advertisers liable for the content their brand appears with. Repeal it. That one move would gut the fear that drives all this algorithmic censorship. Brands wouldn't have to worry about offensive content anymore, and the Karen outrage mobs would have nobody left to blame. On top of that, we need a law that protects free speech on social platforms, the same way it's protected in public spaces. Social media is the new town square, and it shouldn't be run like a dictatorship. Platforms should be required to give human users human moderation, warnings, second chances, clear appeal, real support. You shouldn't lose your voice just because some AI misunderstood your joke. If you've got more ideas, laws about copyright, game ownership, digital rights, or online censorship, let me know in the comments. I'm serious about this. Because this isn't just about...
Guys, you know that tall Dutch girl I showed last night? For some reason, she blocked me on Instagram today. All I did was follow her. I just followed her and liked 1 or 2 pictures, and she blocked me.
That was me. The morning I realized I got blocked by my dream girl. And honestly, it wasn't just about her. This story is about how easy it's become to erase people completely, and just how truly disposable excess males have become in the eyes of women in our society. Overnight, a Dutch 6'8" female athlete that I admire blocked me on Instagram. No DMs, 2 likes, and 1 polite comment. If that's all it takes for me to get blocked, then what chance does the average guy have? Every time I get blocked by a woman, it hurts a little more. Not because I expected anything to come out of our interaction, but because it shows how fast people can erase you from their lives now, and how my options are quickly fizzling out. Today I want to talk about how instant block culture is breaking men and what this experience did to me.
Transmitting.
So I've come up with 2 potential theories as to why this girl may have blocked me in such a way. The first one I personally think is less likely, but a lot of the other people I've spoken to think that it's a good possibility. And that is that one of the 250 story viewers that I have on TikTok saw the story I posted showing a screenshot of Selena's Instagram account. But maybe one of those people watching just happened to be a troll and decided, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go message that girl.
Which one of you f***ing scumbags sent a message to this girl or whatever saying stalker or something like that? Is that what happened? Because I can't think of anything else. What I wrote last night was a joke.
As for my second theory, this is the one that I believe is probably more likely to be true. And that is that she just happened to see the comment that I left on her post, and she went over to my Instagram profile and saw all the posts and reels that I've done. I didn't mean anything creepy. Now, there's also the fact that at a point in the past, I followed her on TikTok, and I think she may have blocked me there first. So it's possible that she has a really good memory and she recognized my name and immediately blocked me on Instagram. Now, the other thing that she might be thinking about when looking at all of my posts here is, wow, okay, this guy is an incel. He's associated with the black bill. And a lot of women see that and immediately think, oh, he's a terrible person. I want nothing to do with him. But I didn't openly say anything disrespectful or negative towards women in any of my posts. And another part of that is it's very possible that she sees how attracted I am to tall women, because I've got a few posts in there where, you know, one of them says how short guys see tall women over 6 feet, and it shows the perspective by men in the worst possible